Good morning. Today's topic, does it matter how you sit when you meditate? And the answer, as always, is yes and no. Kyle Cease always says that he just sits on his couch or whatever. And, excuse me, cat hair, daily cat hair. There you go. And he doesn't even, try to meditate, so to speak, but just sits, and that's his practice. And he just says it doesn't matter how you sit. And that's true, because as long as you're meditating, as long as you're sitting in meditation, that's the important part, right? And it's going to do a lot of good. However you do it, it's going to do wonderful things for you. And at the same time, it's also true that when you align your spine properly, it allows for a greater energy flow through the spinal column. And that is, that's where all the chakras are. That's where the core energy, it's like the energetic foundation of your entire physical being, mortal being, this person that you are right now. The spine is the center of that. So if you're slouching, it impedes the energy flow. It just does. I mean, there's no two ways around that. And if you allow the energy flow to move more freely, there's more clarity that comes through. There's more, you can have a stronger, clearer connection with the energy from the earth and or from the heavens, which, however you do things. And that makes it easier to reap greater benefits from your meditation or from any spiritual practice or pretty much from anything. I mean, even on just a physical level, when you are, when your body's contracted, either, slouched, which most of us do, or sometimes, there's that contraction in the back that causes an overarching in the front. Either way, that compresses organs and nerves in ways that inhibit perfect function, and over long periods of time, that, besides causing pain, can develop problems in those organs which are habitually crimped or habitually starved for proper energy flow or that sort of thing. So posture is really beneficial and in various physical ways really important. Which is not to say that we have to sit in a lotus position or even a half-lotus position, as you see, in the yogic pictures with their legs kind of woven in among themselves. It has been said with, I think, some degree of accuracy that is a posture that is not safe for Westerners to do. We're just not, because of the way we're raised and the way we sit and the way our bodies move, culturally, not because, there's some physical difference, but just in terms of the way our bodies are used to moving, that is a very, very difficult position to attain and can be more harmful than beneficial. There have been cases of people doing serious damage to their legs or hips or knees from doing that posture when they're really not 100% ready for it. There's that tendency, right, especially in the West, I think, there's that tendency to push because we want to be the people who can do such a great lotus, right? Or we're not going to accept our body's limitations because we have this idea that the lotus is the best thing to do, and so we're going to do it come hell or high water. various little ego plays that go on there. And we don't need to do that. There are benefits to doing it. It helps keep the spine properly aligned. And, here's the other thing. When your spine is properly aligned, it stacks. It's supposed to sit like that. So it supports itself all the way down. And there's less physical effort involved in maintaining a certain position. So that's helpful. But only if it's not doing harm for you in other ways. I find, particularly for myself, I find it's very beneficial to have a little pillow about, maybe yay big, fairly firm, or one of those back balls that, a round squishy one, not a really hard one or a pokey one or something. And if I just prop it up under my tailbone, that sets the whole stacking thing in process and makes it a lot easier. So that's one thing that I learned in Vipassana meditation, where I would do, 10 days of seemingly, not quite, but seemingly nonstop meditation, and sitting there. And I have chronic back issues. I've had back issues all my life. And when I come out of those courses, those meditation retreats, 10 days of meditation, I've had people say, my goodness, your posture is so erect. Are you, how weird is that kind of thing? But my response is it's self-preservation. If I weren't sitting with my spine properly stacked, then I would be in excruciating pain the entire time. So what does it even look like when your spine is aligned? Because it's not, the spine is not meant to be, see, if you're looking sideways, it's not meant to be a straight up and down ruler kind of a thing. There's a gentle curve to the spine, and in its natural state. If we're exaggerating the curve, if we're trying to make it curve, then we're going too far, because it doesn't feel like a curve when it's in its natural state. And the one thing that I've really noticed, even for myself, posture is a bit of a thing. I've done a lot of postural work and helping other people with posture and stuff. Is even when you think you're aligned, especially in the West, our posture is so abysmal as a standard, way of being, that even when we think, oh, I'm sitting upright, my posture is really good, there's still this lift and expansion in the chest, in the collarbones, that's ready to happen. There's still, without that, we can be feeling like we're sitting up. But if we see ourselves from the side, there's still a bit of a curve into the neck. And then that little bit of lift in the collarbones, an expansion in the opening in the chest, in the heart center. And then we find that the energy flows so much more smoothly, more powerfully. Whew. That was a lot. That was kind of fast. But it's clearly something that I'm kind of passionate about. The energy flow in the body is so subtle, but it's so potent that it's very helpful to do whatever we can, without harm, without pushing, without struggling, to make things better for ourselves, both physically and spiritually. And that brings up where you put your hands when you're meditating, or how you hold your hands. And there are different versions of that. There's the mudra that you might do. Actually, there's a couple different kinds of mudras, with the forefinger or with the middle finger. Or there's I can't show you that because I'm holding with the camera with one hand, but there's one where you lie your hands stacked one on top of the other with the palms up on your lap. And generally they're, on the lap or on your knees, especially in the mudra. I forget the name of the mudra at the moment. There are reasons we do that. Again, how we touch, how our body is positioned makes a difference. I've been doing this practice lately. It's not so much a practice. I've been catching this process that of touching the body in certain ways, in certain places, that is having an effect. For instance, there's one I do for fear or anxiety, and there's one that I do for centering, and there's one that I'm doing for grounding, and there's one that I'm doing that aligns the spinal energy flow better. There's all of these things that they're just coming to me for increasing the physical energy in the body, the vitality, and adrenal, like kind of supercharging the adrenals, or recharging, at least in my case, I don't know. I'm getting the idea from that in a way the body is like a computer, that you can push certain keys and get certain responses. And that's sort of what's happening when you're doing this mudra. You're making connections for a certain kind of energy flow and a certain kind of awareness that's going through your body. So what you do with your hands does make a difference. And at the same time, it's better to do anything than nothing. Just sitting there, just lying down on the couch or whatever you're doing to meditate is better than doing the perfect meditation posture and mudra and stuff if you can't do it naturally, or if it makes it so difficult or so uncomfortable that you're not meditating anyway. So, short answer, yes, it matters how you're sitting, and no, it doesn't matter as long as you're doing the meditation. But having this in mind, see if you can't experiment with different ways of doing your meditation, and notice what kind of results you get from, change your hand position, change your spinal position, give that extra little lift in your collarbones. I mean, gosh, go through your day reminding yourself to give this extra little lift in the collarbones, and see how people start treating you better or differently, and see how you start feeling differently. It's a direct communication. The body communicates with the mind communicates with the body. And in fact, the body communicates with the mind far more than the other way around, even though we tend to think it's the other way around. The body is the primary communicating, information gathering and sharing source that we have in this incarnation, not counting the downloading spiritual stuff or whatever. So experiment, that's what I'm trying to say. Experiment with different versions of that and see how it feels to you. That's the key, right? Because I can tell you anything, and 100 other people out there can tell you 100 other things that are completely contradictory. And none of it matters as much as what you experience. And even just the fact that you are paying attention to your own experience and finding that in yourself, finding out what's going on, how it feels, how it changes things, what it does for you. That's the most important thing. Because when you start to find out, when you learn how to pay attention to what's going on in your body and what it's telling you, then you have the world's best information system and intuition guidance system and health guidance system, because all the answers are in your body. And all you need to do is start learning how to listen. So that's my fabulous tip for today. I hope you enjoy it in your daily practices, and I wish you just the best, most lovely, and physically connected, spiritually connected day. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Blessed be.